Hello, the game has started. It's my opponent to go first. I have a lot of A's, no bingo here, even with a floater. But it's certainly too good to change. I could play hour, keeping real. And that would be fine. I've got area as a component part of a word, and also where with two spellings, so I just mentioned that in case there's an 8. Okay, opponent changes. So is there any alternative to hour? Is there any way of getting the W doubled? Well, I could play whaler, keeping double A. But I think hour is better. It takes a number of front hooks and a Y at the end. Not good, far too many vowels. There could be an 8 through the right consonant, but nothing with a W. And I have no scoring tiles, so this is a bit of a problem rack. I'm going to struggle to score. So what did I draw? I drew E and 2 I's. Pretty atrocious. And that demonstrates the problem of retaining an equal number of vowels and consonants. Although AELR looked very bingo-y and a good rack leave, because it had an equal number of consonants, it was consonants and vowels, it was vulnerable to drawing vowels. The preferred setup is to retain 2 more consonants and vowels, and that way you can withstand any draw of vowels. So should I change? I'm inclined to. I don't see any alternatives. HA takes an E. U takes an E. What does PA take? Well, it takes an L and an R. So let me have a look at this. LEE 22, keeping AIIR. I can stick an A on the front of that. And I think I will, because this is pretty tight. And 24 points is good, and IIR is not worth minus 24 points. But the comparison, it doesn't have to equal minus 24 points. The comparison would be if I were to retain the best possible rack leave of AELR, how much would that be worth? And that probably is worth about 8 points. So this IIR has to be worth more than minus 16. I'm going with Ali. Okay, pretty good. Much closer to a bingo, and if I don't have one, I have the F for score. I have the air prefix with file. Not seeing anything there. Absolutely no floaters on the board, and nowhere great for my F. But if I could play just FI or FIE, the rack leave would be fine. Ali doesn't take anything in front or after it. Hey does take a number of post hooks, but none that I have. Wow, nice bingo for opponent and a good score. And I just noticed I would have, and do have, airfield onto a D. Fantastic. So airfield for 78. Is there anything better? No, I don't think so. Great, I draw the Q with the U. And I've also got the tiles for qubit. And onto an E, I would have qbyte. I have quay in row H. That's likely to be taken. I think it's the hottest spot on the board. Do I have a column 4 play getting the Q doubled? I do. I have quit. Now, is there any possibility of a bingo with this rack? Not really. Close to ubiquity. But the N doesn't feature. Look at this, just 3 points separating us. Now I have row D as well through an I. It would be nice to play off the Y or the B with the Q. So if I played quit, I'd be keeping BNY, not great. Although B and Y do have some synergy, they are a 2-letter word. Pay only takes an S. Pale takes an S in front. I'm not seeing anything through this I. So is there anywhere for Q-bit? I don't think there is. Now I actually have quaint in row H, which is N and T on the end of key. That would score a bit more. I can't see anywhere down the bottom of the board for my Q, and I see no reason to hang on to the Q. Although Q and U are positive, which means that it would be a good thing to have in your rack leave, I think it's the available scores, which means that it doesn't make sense. I haven't seen any good plays which retain the Q and score anything like enough to compete with quaint or quit. I nearly have Burker. I would with an A. Use takes a T at the end, which I have. And opponent taking a while with some of his opening moves. Wow, that's why. But look at this, opponent has left alone my quaint spot. Has he provided anything through the Z? No, I don't think so. So key starts here, and then that's 60, and quaint is 66. Yeah. Ah, not good. Yeah, I was confusing quain, which I played, and I think it's qui-int with an I and not a Y. Anyway, thanks to Void Challenge, I don't have to beat myself up over decisions like that. And I am a strong supporter of Void Challenge, but not in face-to-face tournaments. But on the internet, I think it's great. It's a much more enjoyable game, and it levels the playing field. So, what do I have here? Too many high-scoring tiles. Do I have anything onto the Z? I don't think so. What about onto the S? Well, I do. I have bytes. It would be nice to play off 3 of my high-scoring tiles, preferably B, Y, and P. So I have B pity on my rack, which A's where opponent has bingoed. Wow. Fantastic set of bingos by opponent. 3 back-to-back ones. He now leads by 100. I don't think Pali is good, otherwise I would have E-Typic. And what a shame I don't have anything onto the Z. That would score well. Just rechecking that, but I'm not seeing anything. And I'm not seeing anywhere for B pity. So, what to do? And my byte spot has also been taken. Gosh, Manred's is a really obstructive bingo. It's provided practically nothing. Do I have anything around these eyes? I'm not sure I do. And it's an absolute minimum to play off 2 of my big tiles. My Y can go underneath the K. Gosh, this is just a tough rack. What to do? Do I have anything ending AS? No. Is there anywhere for just BY? BY takes an A in front. So I could play Bay here for 21. This feels terrible, but it's not giving very much away, and the rack leave, I haven't seen anything better. ZE is good, but I'm not seeing anything in row F. And I've now used almost as much time as my opponent, who is taking an age. I could play Buyer using the same tiles, but that's going to score less. I don't have any BI words or PI words, which use 2 scoring tiles, and that is the real sticking point, I think. Let me just have one last think, because THAE is good. So why don't I do that tie pick for 29? Wow, that's a big score. Yeah, that definitely was better than BEY. This looks quite nice. Close to breeze. I would need one more E. There could be something onto the Z. I have Pebrine in column 12, getting the B doubled, so that will be a decent score. Both blanks have gone. And tie pick, it doesn't really create new bingo lanes because it's obstructed the floaters in man reds. And opponent blocks the Z, that's quite sensible. Airfield takes nothing in front. I would like to create new bingo lanes. Well, why don't I go back to my original idea of Pebrine? That takes an S, there's 1 to come. Floating E is good, floating C is good. And I guess I'm just going to have to look to develop the top of the board on a subsequent move. Great, I draw the J. It's always quite useful when you're behind to have the option of getting a big score without bingoing, because it slows down the turnover of tiles. I don't have an N for Benj. Now, what about jurors? I don't think that's good. And it's not. Anything else ending AS? I don't think so. I have a U for going with the Q, but the rest of the rack is pretty hopeless. Wow, a 4th, well, not a 4th back-to-back bingo, but a 4th bingo in 5 moves. Absolutely fantastic spot of Rugrats. And opponent provides a nice spot for me to play Gaju, however you pronounce that, and the rack leave's not bad. But what is bad is the lack of bingo lanes on this board. So is due the play 33 points? I think it is. I'm not seeing anything better. I'm going with this. Great, I draw a vowel. I have relucted through the U and lectured, but absolutely nowhere else. And now opponent, well, there is a bingo lane in row L, a 7-letter lane, but it's not massively useful because an S can't go over the U. But maybe opponent won't regard the U as being a dangerous floater to block. still an X to come. So supposing lectured is blocked, well, I could play bled in row H, and that would create new bingo lanes that opponent would struggle to block without having to accept a low score. Opponent is 90 points ahead, so a massive favourite. But the odds would change if I can get a bingo down. So my choices are the bingo in row O or bled. Is there anywhere which might provide a better option? And I'm not sure there is. Even if I had a play in column 8, I don't think it would be superior to bled. Or it might. C is a bingo-y floater. Well, I'm just not seeing anything in column 8. Emo is good. So I could play seed, but then that leaves us a bad rack leave. Okay, has opponent blocked relucted? No, he hasn't. Hilarious. Let me get this down. Relucted for 71. Fantastic. And this isn't a terrible rack. I trail by 40. And the H goes quite well with the C, so that might be worth hanging on to. I don't have a bingo with this rack. I do have the U for the Q. Definitely not worth hanging on to. So I am a bingo behind, but I'm not any more than a bingo behind. 10 tiles to come, not very bingo-y. So I could play humours. And this is the problem. Do I retain OU or OO? Still 2 O's to come. 30 points. 30 points is good. Rack leave is terrible, except O's do go quite well with the C, and there are N's to come. So if I dodged the O's, drew an N, who knows? Opponent has taken out row L as a bingo lane, so foo was a nice play from him. So I'm dependent on the bingo lane beginning with the C and with the floaters from humus. So I quite like the positioning of humus. It's the specific tiles and the rack leave I'm concerned about. And I think a play from the B, like both, is terrible because it then means opponent only has to block those bingo lanes. So it's absolutely imperative that I do create a new bingo lane at the top. What does MOU look like? Only 16 points, terrible rack leave. I think humus is better. And do I retain the... This is the alternative. I think I will go with humus. Just wondering what C plays I have with this set. But I think this retains the option of a QU play. I'm going with humus. Gosh, pretty grim. But I think it would have been equally as grim had I played humus. Outweaved, not good. And just generally, this is awful. And I trail by 40 points, so I think this game has slipped away from me. And I'm now looking at minimizing the losing spread. So U, V and W are dreadful triplicate. Yeah, nice play by opponent, taking out the most dangerous floaters. 3 tiles to come. So, is there anywhere for thou? That would leave A-D-U-T. Well, there is, in the sense that I can play vowels, but is there a better place for thou? Have I thrown the towel in too early? So, vowels for 20, leaves alone the C, leaves alone the Q. No other bingo lanes. Well, there's HA as a part of a 9-letter play. This is hopelessly low probability, but I think it's got to be worth a try. And I can't see. It would be nice to create a new bingo lane, but in order to do that, I do need to play off 2 out of V, W, and U, and I'm not seeing anywhere else to do that. So vowels for 20, critical moment, 9 minutes on my clock. Do I really have nothing? And is there a way of, both blanks have gone, so is there a way of playing a 3-letter play off the B with a hook that only I have? I'm not sure there is, and it would certainly need to use some of my problem tiles. Bow is the only one I can see, but that keeps a terrible rack leave. No, I'm going with vowels for 20. Not good. I draw the final V. An opponent is close to a bingo himself. He would have canoeing if an I is in the bag. I have absolutely nothing. B, U, and V, almost as bad as U, V, and W. So, what do I have? I have Buber in row H, 24 points. Will take me over the 400 mark. Not seeing anything through the V. And just generally not seeing much around the board. Certainly nothing with QU. I'm going to struggle to play the B with the V. I have Veduta on my rack. Not sure there's anywhere for that. Nice score for opponent. So is opponent going out with his final rack? I'm not sure he is. Where are his floaters? Is acing good? I think it is. So he does have an out with the C. Well, I can just play Buber to block that. And have I gifted him an alternative out? No, I'm not sure I have. He may have an out elsewhere, and if he doesn't, I'll get to have a further score, but I'm not going to go out. Or am I? No, I'm not. So do I have an alternative to Buber? Let me just put this back. I have 7 minutes. So I have an absolute ton of time. I have bow. I'm not going to go out in 2 with that. So acing was the play. Vibe for 11. Threatening Dort for 25. I think I'll go with this. Maybe vibed isn't good. Well, if it isn't, I may have an out elsewhere. So where are the other spots for me? If I don't have an out, I have board, B-A-U-D, for a decent score. But opponent may play Bing. So do I have a second out for Dort? No, not sure I do. Dort is good through an L. Okay, so vibe I think may be significantly suboptimal. Opponent's got 7 minutes left and I have 6, so we both have plenty of time. Tige is good. So where else do I need to consider for Dort? And do I have anything through the V? Not sure I do. Okay, nice play by opponent, 12 points. Let me see if Tad stays on the board. That would be 23, 21 for board. And Dort definitely doesn't play. I'm going with this. Okay, great. Well, great in the sense that one has knowledge now about the validity of vibe. It isn't good. And I have board here for 21. And vibe wasn't only setting up a D hook, a non-existent D hook, it was also blocking opponents out of acing. And the final score, 420 for me, 488 for my opponent, a winning margin of 68 points, so well done to my opponent. Let's see what I missed. Absolutely fantastic play by opponent. 3 back-to-back bingos and 4 in 5. And it was opponent to go first. Dreadful Rack. He changed. And I played Awa. And I prefer that to Aware. I think the rack leave is better. Opponent's rack, much better than his first one, plays Pay. And now I have Ali, and I like that. Great bingo for opponent, Dinkies. And I'm able to come straight back with Airfield. And this is the second of opponent's back-to-back bingos. 82 points for Zorillos. But look at this, 87 points available for a non-bingo through Paleozoic. Absolutely amazing word. And this was my play, and I played Keen. And this is the Quient play, which I misspelt. And this is the third of opponent's back-to-back bingos, giving him a 100-point lead. And now I have Typic. Interesting, I played it making Thay, but I could have played it making Uest and scored 3 more points. US takes nothing after it, so I would have been closing down the bottom left of the board. However, it would have provided additional floaters to those in-man reds. Opponent's rack plays Tig. And I have Pebrine for 28, and that looks fine. Although I suspect some of these other plays are fairly close. They're not many points behind, and they do have better rack leaves. So C11, fine. Well, yeah, probably not terribly much between those. And this is a fantastic bingo spot by opponent. Very difficult one to see. Rugrats. And I have Jew for 33. So at this point I trail by a lot, about 90 points. That's about to get bigger as opponent plays Jet. But look at this, Relucted slips into row O and gives me hope. I trail by less than 40. Opponent plays foo. And now here I was thinking about Homus or humus, and I went with Homus. Homers. Opponent plays Axon to take out the floaters. And now my fate is sealed. I've drawn badly, and I really needed to draw well, not even average. So what do I do here? I play Vows, and I like that. That's, for me, left the best possible rack leave, and I thought that a bingo was my only chance of winning the game, so I stand by my play. Opponent plays Noir. Again, I don't draw well. And there are no tiles in the bag, so the game is lost. I try a really feeble setup for a word which doesn't exist. Opponent doesn't have an out, plays Ina. And I don't have an out, and I play board. And finally, opponent goes out with Tsar. So, what a game, and really it's just the story of my opponent in this game. Absolutely amazing play, 3 back-to-back bingos, 4 bingos in 5 moves, and really excellent bingos at that. So, well done once again to my opponent for a fantastic victory. I hope you enjoyed watching that game, and I will see you next time.